Good morning, students. How are you all? Hope you all are fine. Take out your SST book, block number 10, the New Empires and Kingdoms. Today, in this chapter, we are going to learn about the dynasty, Harshvardhana, the Chalukya, and the Palwas, administration in the new empires, and the life of common people through sources. The new empire and kingdoms. It began in 4th century, and 4th century in is marked as a golden period of Indian history. New dynasty came to power in the Ganga Yamuna plains, and this was the Gupta dynasty. This period was known as the golden age in the field of art, science, and religion. Hinduism gained popularity throughout the Indian subcontinent. During this period, the epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata were completed. And during this period, Sanskrit, poetry, drama, and art grew in importance. There were major scientific developments in the field of astronomy, engineering, and mathematics. A decimal system and the concept of zero were discovered. These were adopted by the Arab traders, later passed to the Europeans. Have you seen in this para? We can see the 4th century common era. It was very important as it's known as the golden period of Indian history. So many changes took place. New dynasty came into power and some inventions also took place during this history. Mahabharata and epic of Ramayana also were completed during this period. And research like zero and decimal were also invented during this period. Let's move on to the Gupta. His founder was Sri Gupta. Sri Gupta was the founder of Gupta dynasty. It was his grandson Chandragupta I and his successor Samudragupta and Chandragupta II, that is Vikramaditya, who led the Gupta dynasty to its prosperity. Samudragupta was one of the famous ruler of Gupta dynasty. It was under his reign that the territories of Gupta empires reached the southern region subcontinent after the Maurya Empire. Here you can see in figure 3 and figure 2. This time, Samudragupta decided to control the region he had won differently. A passage from the Allahabad pillar, Prashasti Samudragupta. Here, the Allahabad pillar is Prashasti of Samudragupta. Prashasti means the writing in praise of someone. The poets or the writers during that time used to write to praise that king, and this praise, written praise, were known as Prashasti. He brought Ganga Yamuna under his control directly. These plains were controlled by this Gupta dynasty, and Ganga Yamuna was also known as Aryavarti. And he defeated different 9 rulers of this region, and he won this territory. He defeated 12 rulers of that coast of the southern peninsula known as Dakshinpat. But he allowed these rulers to rule their kingdom after defeating them. The region in the east, like Ganga Sanghas of Assam, Bengal, and Nepal, accepted him as their king and paid him regular tribute, and also attended his court. After defeating these rulers, still he continued. He let them to continue their to let them rule their territories. The regions like East, which were also known as Ganga Sanghas, and the rulers of this region like Assam, Bengal, and Nepal also accepted him as a king, and they paid regular tributes and attended his court also. He had good relation with the rulers of the north west regions along with the ruler of Sri Lanka, and they gave their daughters in marriage after they were defeated by him. The last ruler that is known was strong ruler. The last strong ruler, Skandagupta. After him, these Guptas were not able to control their empire, and the reasons were constant invasions of Huns and the revolt of the Samantas. Who were Huns? Huns were a nomadic tribe of Mongolia. They had controlled almost of all Central Asia. Central Asia was controlled by Huns, and these were the nomadic tribes of Mongolia. The Samantas were the military commanders of the Gupta. They became more powerful and refused to pay taxes as the ruler became weak. During this time, rulers became weak, and the Samantas, who were the military commanders of Gupta, they refused to pay taxes to the ruler because ruler got weaker. There were constant battles in the internal and with the Huns, and due to this, the kingdom, the empire became financially weak. These were the causes where a dynasty became weak. And what was the reason? The internal and the conflict with the Huns. And the most important reason was became financially weak during this time. So you must have understood this part, how they became weak and what were the reasons. Now let's move on forward and see Harshvardhana, the Chalukyas and the Pandavas. After Gupta Empire, the Indian subcontinent split into a number of kingdoms. And among this kingdom, one of the important kingdom was Harshvardhana of Kannauj. Harshvardhana, the ruler of Thaneshwar, today we know this place as Haryana. And when Harshvardhana became king, he was forced to attack the kingdom of Bengal. Why? Because his sister's husband, the ruler of Kannauj, was killed by the king of Bengal. After his victory in Bengal, he won over the region of Punjab, Gujarat, Bihar, and Odisha and brought them under his control. While Harshavardhana managed to control northern parts. See figure 4, you can see the empires in various colors. The Harshavardhana Empire, how it grew and where it was. And Harshavardhana was not able to expand his control in south because of Chalukya ruler Pulkeshi II. He stopped his effort. Harshavardhana was unable to control this part because Pulkeshi II, the Chalukya ruler, he was strong. He stopped his efforts. Harshavardhana's biography, known as Harshachitra, His contribution to Buddhism. In his biography, Harshacharit, Chinese traveler Yuan Tisang, who visited and stayed in the court of Harshvardhana, also wrote about the kingdom and its practices and found its contribution to Buddhism in his biography. And his biography was called as Harshacharitra. The Chinese traveler Yuan Tisang, who visited and stayed in the court of Harshavardhana, he also wrote about the kingdom and its practice. That means he was a very good ruler. This shows that his contribution toward was good, and many poets or the writers during those times and foreigner writers also traveled and stayed here, they wrote about him. This all was about Harshavardhana. The Palwas and the Chalukyas. During this period in south, Palwas and Chalukyas were also important dynasties. They constantly attacked each other. During the same period, during the Harshavardhana period in north, the south there were Palwas and Chalukyas. But they constantly attacked each other, especially the temple and the capital cities of each other's kingdom. And why they attacked each other, especially the temples and the capital cities? Yes, as these were prosperous kingdoms and trade centers. They often fought with each other to bring importance traders trade center under their own region, only to become powerful, and they were concentrate on the temples and the cities where there was trade. And when these two things, if they bring under their control, the opponent ruler will be weaker. So they targeted only these two things mainly. See figure 5. The Chalukya ruler Pulkesi, who had inherited the kingdom from his uncle and expanded the kingdom further into south. Pulkesi too, who inherited the kingdom from his uncle and expanded it in south by invading the territories of Palwa rulers. Mahendra Varman. Mahendra Varman, he defeated the Palwas and he occupied the cities of Vengi. And Vengi was an important trade center of Palwa dynasty. In figure 5 it's shown. But his victory was short-lived as he was killed by the son of Mahendra Varman. You see, the ruler defeated the Palwas, Mahendra Varman, and occupied his territory. But Mahendra Varman's son, he again defeated Pulkesi too, and his own capital city Vapti was taken over by the Palwas. See, in this we can see Palwas and Chalukyas. They were attacking and defeating each other. So these constant battles were going on between these two rulers. Is this para clear? In the whole para, it's Palwas and Chalukyas. They constantly had attack on each other. They constantly had battles between them. So this is all about the Palwas and Chalukyas. We'll see the administration in the new empire. How the administration was carried, what were the good effects of this administration, and there were different types adopted during this time. study this new administration. During these days, for efficient administrations, the empires of that period were divided into two parts. During this time, the kings divided the empire into two parts for efficient administration. And what were these two different divisions? In northern region, it was Bukti or province, and the cities were called Nagars, while village were Gram. The province was called Bukti, and they divided it into two parts. One is Gram, which are cities, and sorry, one is village, and village were known as Gram, and cities. Cities were called as Nagars. And during those times, the rulers were depend on land revenue. This land revenue made them maintain their armies. The rulers were depend on land revenue, tax on crops paid by farmers, and trade tax. And this was the main source of income. And the kings were depend on this to maintain their army, which included soldiers, horseback, or the cavalry, and the soldiers on foot, the infantry. The soldiers who are on foot are called as infantry. The one who are on horseback, horsemen, that is cavalry. There were military heads known as Samantas, who provided military troop to the king. Samantas were military commanders. They provided troop to king. However, they did not receive a regular salary. The Samantas, they didn't receive a regular salary, but they were given land grants to maintain their. Kings used to give them land to maintain their troop because they were unable to pay them the regular salary. And during this time, to look out after the administration of kingdom, the rulers appointed officers. Various officers were appointed for good administration. So the king started appointing officers. These officers were known as Amatyas. Amatyas were the officers to look out the administration. Mahadandanayaka or the chief judge, and Sandhi Vigarika or minister of war and peace. These were the important officers appointed by the king, and peoples such as banker were called Nagar Sreshti. The chief craftsman called, and scribes known as Kashasha were important in Nagars or cities. And in villages, the Brahmins were landowners. The local assemblies were known as Sabhas. In the villages where there were Brahmin rulers, these assemblies were known as Sabhas. And in those areas where landowners were not Brahmin, the local assemblies were known as Or. Both type of local assemblies looked after irrigation, agriculture, building roads and temples, education, festival, and celebrations are the welfare of the people. So these assemblies were also given some duties to look after. The same work was divided in both the both the assemblies, but they were known in different names. And these assemblies were controlled by landowner and rich merchant. To understand it better way, there is an comic strip on page number 86. Go through this comic strip, you'll get an idea how this administration used to take place. Okay, we'll discuss this comic strip during our online lecture. Moving on to the next part, the next para is about the life of common people through sources. During this time, how were the common people and how was their life? We'll see this through the various sources. Historians used painting, coins, inscriptions, and literary sources like the Prashastis on Samudragupta by Harisena and on Pulki II by Ravi Kirti. Biographies like Harsacharitra by Bana Bhatta plays biographies like Harsha Charitra by Bana Bhatta played by Indian writers like Kalidas and traveler account of two important Chinese traveler Fa Hen and Hussein Tassan who had visited India. During his visit during this period, what historians used to write about the kingdoms? The above mentioned all the sources were used by historians, and the foreign travelers also wrote down in their notations about this time. But these writings were not able to explain the life of common people. So we have to move forward and read the other passage. The written sources were there, but these written sources included only about the kingdom. But to see the common people, we move on to the next passage and see about the life of common people through the sources. Here only the sources we got were about the kingdoms. And for the common people, let's see next para. When the king's army traveled with enormous amount of things, a part of weapon, there were pot and pans to cook, furniture, animals like goat, deer, rabbit, and vegetable on cart or on camel and elephant. Musicians like drummers and other playing horns and drums moved along with Indian army. These all things king used to take along with their armies. So the number of people increased in that army. And when they used to march from the villages, the people of the village had to provide gift and the needy things like curd, jaggery, flowers, and fodder for the animal. They would also try to meet the king personally. People used to try to meet the king personally to solve their problem, to share their problem and complaint, and seek for justice. But the army left a trail of destruction. When this army moved from the villages, they left a destruction. And what was the destruction? The huge amount of army walking through villages with the animals. The elephants destroyed the huts of the villagers, and the oxen pulling the carts in the carvas would create commotion and in turn destroys field and other property. So these armies used to march, but lot of destruction also was done to the village. As Bana Bhatta informs us, the whole world was swallowed up in the dust. This will make you understand how were the common people, how they suffered when India, this their army, they moved from there. Lot of destruction they have to face, and also they have to offer gifts to the. So this was not very good. And as the huts, they were not so good. They were easily destroyed by the elephants. Huts were not strong. So the animals, when they march from the villages, the elephants or the oxen, they used to destroy this. And poor people were disturbed. Writings of C.U. Key by Hanta Sang, it was related to the untouchable. During this time, some peoples were considered as untouchable. And who considered them untouchable? The one, those who belong to so-called upper caste. They were expected to live outside the villages and cities. These untouchables were not allowed to enter the city. They have to live outside the city. When they used to enter the city, they had to strike a wooden staff he carries on the ground. On hearing the term, people used to know the untouchables are coming, so they could move aside and avoid, and they used to avoid their shadows also because they believed that this people's shadow is also impure. And to avoid this, untouchable community peoples had to carry a wooden strike, and they used to strike the wooden staff. So the people around them would be alert that some untouchable is coming. From here, you can make out there were two groups of common touchables, untouchables, then the poors living in the hut. They were their houses or the village was destroyed due to the marching of the king's army. So, how was an overall common people's life during that time? We can make out it from this, and it was not so very good. In this passage, we see that life of these common people were not so good. They used to live in hut, and they had a very simple food habit, including milk products and grains, and natural sweets made of sugar cane or dates. So we can make out their living style. It was poor. The common people was poor and had a simple house system and simple food, and also caste system, and also there was caste system. This is all about the new empires, the common people, the kings, the dynasties during the medieval period. Hope you must have understood all the topic. Whichever doubts are there, clear it during our online session. Okay, children. Till then, bye bye. Have a nice day.